Shut up and sit down.
Hello and welcome again from the GR Sport. It's another tips and tricks video. This was one I wasn't going to make because I'd totally forgotten about this little issue. And I was asked a question by a gentleman in one of the comments. And I'm going to read the message he sent me now. I've got it on my phone. You might be able to read it, might not focus. Right, it says, sometimes on my Yaris 2021, shifting from reverse to park and from park to D is a little bit hard. I mean, it requires more force than normal and isn't soft. Could you advise on this? Now, I'd forgotten about this problem. Totally and utterly forgotten about it. It was something I figured out a long time ago. Down here we've got our gear selector. We're in park, which means the gearbox stroke transmission hybrid system is locked up. And what I mean by locked up is, in the transmission, there is a special gear called a parking paw gear. And there's a little mechanism that locks that gear, which comes into play when you put the transmission in park. It's all done automatically. But what sometimes happens is, we'll put the car in neutral, and I'll just show you I'm parked on a hill. The car might not actually, I'm going to move, I'm just going to roll. We're just rolling down the hill now, just to prove I'm on a slope. I need to show you that, so this experiment makes sense. What I'm now going to do, I've got my foot on the brake, I've put the car into park, I've still got my foot on the brake. I'll do that again, because I don't know if you can hear. If you listen carefully, it might not pick it up, the camera. I'm going into park. Have a listen for the funny motor sound in the back of the car. If you heard that sound, that is the electronic handbrake arming. But there's a slight delay between you putting the car into park and the car putting the brake on. We're back in park. See if you can hear the noise. I'm going to come into reverse now and you should hear the brakes release. You'll hear it when you're sat in the car. So I'm going to put the car back in neutral. Car's just rolling forward. I'm going to put the car now into park. I'm going to release the brakes. What I'm going to do now, just as an experiment to show you what happens, I've got my foot on the brake as hard as it'll go, and I'm going to go to the electronic handbrake whilst I've still got my foot on the brake. I'm going to turn it off. I've just released the parking brakes. Let's go outside now. Just watch what happens when I take my foot off the brake. The car should move. It just moved. What it's doing now, the car is totally supported on the parking port mechanism in the gearbox. That's all that's stopping this car from rolling away, because as you can see here, the red light's not on, the parking brake is off. Now the parking brake's back on. But now what you will find, and this is his problem, this is what he's asked me about, when you go to move the gear lever out of park, it needs a really good pull. It will go, but it's not the usual nice and easy. It was like that. It's nice and easy normally, but in that instance where I was relying on the parking pole, that's what makes that really, really hard to get out of park. So the way to get that problem not to occur is relatively simple. We'll put the car into neutral, just for argument's sake. We'll put it in drive. You're driving along, you've come to a stop, you want to put the car into park. So you've stopped, you've got your foot on the brake. Okay. So, foot on the brake, and you'll feel the resistance. What you need to do is push it that little bit further, and it will actually go down to the floor. That is totally normal for a hybrid braking system. At that instant, now is the time to put the car into park. Have a listen as the parking brake comes on. Do it again just in case you missed it. My foot's still planted on the floor because I've just stopped, remember. And I'm going to go across now into park with my foot mashed to the floor. Parking brakes have just armed. Warning lights come on the dash. Now is the time to release your foot brake. What the car won't do now is roll forward like it did earlier on when I released the handbrake. Okay, so my foot's now off the brake. We're in park, handbrake's on. I'm now going to cover the brake again, turn the handbrake off, and watch what happens when I take my foot off the brake. The car moves forward again, slightly. It's just locked the parking port even tighter in the gearbox. Now that gear lever is going to be hard to move again. I'm going to put handbrake back on. This is the issue people are having. That is now hard to get out of park. So it's a very, very simple procedure. You're rolling along, you've come to a halt, you stop, you've got the resistance on your foot pedal, push the pedal down a little bit harder, park, handbrake arms, wait for the handbrake to arm, and it's finished making its whirring noises. And then you just slowly release the brake. That's how you put them into park properly, so you don't have the issue of that gear selector being extremely hard to get out of park when you use the car next time. It's all it is. There's nothing wrong with the transmission. The transmission is doing its job, but you're not relying so much on the brakes because the transmission's taken up all the load because you were too quick taking your foot off the brake before the brakes actually finished locking off. That's why the car rolls forward slightly. It's nothing more than that, nothing to worry about. Some people will worry about it and think I've got a fault with the gearbox. You haven't. I'm hoping with them 2 or 3 examples of what happens when you take your foot off the brake too fast after putting it into park and the car slightly lurches forward, you understand what the gearbox is doing and how it's stopping the car from moving and what's causing the gear selector to be so hard to move. Once again, thanks for watching another video from the GR Sport. Thanks for watching one of the North Wales side-by-side videos in the tips and tricks series. If you like these sort of videos, please click like and please consider subscribing. Thank you once again.